Thanks for tuning in. This is Thomper B. Thompin, and in this video I want to help you explore the different sizes, capacities, and use cases for these solar generators, specifically from an off-grid camping perspective. As you can see, these solar generators come in many different sizes and capabilities. Prices, at least from the more reputable brands, are pretty similar across the board. I have 4 units here ranging from small to extra large, and in this video I'll quickly run through some of the general use cases for each, hopefully to help you choose the right one. I'll have my Amazon affiliate links in the description below if you want to check these out. Those links take you straight to the manufacturer's Amazon stores, making for a super easy and confident buying experience. So most people, when they're considering these different solar generators, are looking at primarily 3 different things: power output, what devices can you actually power; battery capacity, for how long can you power those different things; and of course price. There's a big difference between the cheaper, smaller units versus the extra large, more capable units. And if you're buying one of these for camping, whether it's tent camping, car camping, camping in an RV, or even at an off-grid cabin, I would also factor in weight and maneuverability. So to start us off, this is the Anker 521, the smallest unit that we have. Anker actually doesn't sell this anymore. They have an updated version that's more powerful and more capable and at a similar price too. These smaller power stations are perfect for powering lower draw electronic items like fans or LED string lights. They often come with regular AC plugs, various USB charge ports, and a DC cigarette style charge port. Most people use these to power laptops and charge batteries, for example, batteries for GoPros, drones, cell phones, headlamps, and small toys for the kids. It's also great for mattress pumps, especially since you can take it from tent to tent. It will not, however, power larger household appliances like a coffee maker. Some other advantages for these are obviously the size and the weight. At only about 10 pounds, they're not too bad to lift around. And the price is pretty good too. These smaller units range from about $200 to $300. This one also has a light, which can be really handy around a campsite. This older version, with an approximate 256 watt-hour battery, outputs a sustained 200 watts, but newer versions are getting much more powerful, even doubling the power output. So next up is going to be this Anker Solix C1000, and I have a full video out on this one and on this smaller Anker model as well. And this, in my opinion, is really like the sweet spot for car camping and tent camping. So this specific model can output a sustained 1800 watts or even up to 2400 watts because it has a special surge capability. So you can power a lot of different appliances with that. Coffee makers, a griddle, you can run a CPAP machine all night long if you need. You can run a fan for 10, 12 hours, 20 hours, no problem. Another thing about the Anker is it has a pretty good battery capacity at a little bit over 1,000 watt hours, or 1 kilowatt hour essentially. But just keep in mind too that with all these solar generators, you can't use the complete battery bank. You can only typically use between about like 85 to upwards of about 80%. Now this Anker Solix 1000 is kind of like a large step up above this Anker 521 smaller unit. There are a lot of units that kind of slot between them. They can typically output about 1,000 watts, and they maybe have a battery capacity of 500 to 800 watt hours typically. But I would suggest you forego that middle ground. You either get the really small one if you need it, or just jump up to this larger one. And the reason being is because it's not that much larger dimensionally. This thing is very small, can easily fit in the trunk of a car or tucked away in the back seat of like your truck, easily stowed away in your camper, takes very small room inside of a tent, and it's still fairly light too. This thing's under 30 pounds, so I can easily handle it with 2 hands, and most people can carry it no problem. So last thing about the solar generator, specifically the C1000 from Anker, is that it can basically run any household appliance. Obviously not 240 volt appliances, but blenders, griddles, anything. A microwave, it can run it. Coffee maker, you can make a couple pots of coffee, no problem. On the griddle, I can easily cook 8, 10 hamburgers easily. I can make a full breakfast, pancakes, bacon, before this thing runs out of juice. It is a little bit loud when it is powering those larger devices, but the fans kick on to keep it nice and cool. Another beautiful thing about this Anker is that it can be charged off of solar. So if you do have a solar array or portable deployable panels. You can charge it up to 600 watts. So it's charged full in less than 2 hours, hour and a half maybe. And then you can also charge it off of AC power, like off of a wall plug or off of a small generator if you need to really quick. That you can charge between 200 watts up to 1300 watts and any increment in between at the 100 level. So 200, 300, 400, 500, and so on. So it's a really great middle ground, perfect for car camping, tent camping, and the like. So here we are stepping up into the much larger solar generator range. This is the EcoFlow Delta Pro. It's actually their older version. They have a brand spanking new one out, and I don't want to be brand specific here either. This just happens to be EcoFlow's model, but Anker, Blue Eddy, Jackery, and EcoFlow, and then many other of your off brands, they all make models that are within this range and capacity. This is where we're stepping into units that are capable of actually powering your 30 amp RV. So you can run your air conditioner, you can hook up into this thing as if you were hooking up into shore power. Your microwave, your air conditioner, you can run them both at the same time off of this thing. So again, as I mentioned, it does have the 30 amp plug on the front, and you also have a bunch of different just regular 120 volts and various USBs as well. So this EcoFlow specifically has a battery capacity of about 3.6 watt hours, give or take. That's a lot more than the smaller Anker Solix 1000. So if you're running your RV and you're basically just using the 12 volt system inside, you can easily run it all day, all night long. Running your 12 volt television, if you're doing that while camping, running your 12 volt refrigerator, your lights, any fans, easily all day long. And a lot of these are also available with expansion batteries. So for a little bit of extra money, sometimes a lot of bit of extra money, you can easily double, triple, quadruple your battery capacity and your runtime. So obviously a unit this size is going to run just about anything you need. Whether it's space heaters, microwaves, blenders, griddles, it'll run them all day long. This EcoFlow Delta Pro, the old version, is kind of on the louder side. The fans kick on and they can get pretty loud at higher loads, whether you're charging or discharging. So something to think about. All these units from all these manufacturers keep getting quieter and quieter as they put more efficient inverters inside of them. Charging these things is also a breeze, just like the Anker Solix C1000, and really any of these. You can charge them off of solar, off of an AC wall outlet, off of a generator real quick and easy. Just plug them in, set up your solar array, whether fixed or portable, and charge it up. They all have different charging rates, so not really paying attention too much to those numbers, but if you have a substantial solar array, you can really keep this thing topped off all day long on a decently sunny day. Last thing about these is this is where we start to get into the much heavier units. So this one does have a telescoping handle, which actually works really well. It's got these smaller wheels on the back, not really super conducive to rolling around in gravel, but it gets the job done should you need to. And it weighs about 100 pounds. So if you're decently able, you can carry this thing around from room to room or haul it up into your camper, no problem. So here we are, now we're getting into the extra large units, and these come at a much higher price, but they are far more capable. I specifically purchased the Jackery Explorer 5000 for many different reasons. I have a video out on it specifically dedicated to kind of showing why I chose this to run my camper off grid instead of perhaps like a gasoline generator. But these come at a greater price. I paid approximately $2,900 for this, shipped to my house, but it has a 7,200 watt inverter on board. It can surge up to 11, 12, 14,000 watts claimed. I haven't tested that. And you can run 240 volts off of it. You can also charge off of 240 volts through their junction box that they sell. You can hook it up to your house. That's predominantly what these are used for, is home backup power, powering a cabin. We have a 240 volt well here on our property, so that's why I specifically went with the extra large version instead of getting something like the EcoFlow Delta Pro and maybe a couple expansion batteries, because I need that 240 volt capacity. So the farther you go up in capability, you increase your price, you increase the weight, but these things are still fairly mobile. This one weighs 134 pounds. It also has a telescoping handle. and you can wheel it around. It has locking wheels, and the beautiful thing about these too is that you can just lay them down on their side and you can use the unit like that if you really need to. Say you have a low shelf, you need to tuck it up underneath. Easy day and you can still run it. So maneuverability is still there, but these things do get pretty darn heavy. So there you have it. There's a quick view at these solar generators and what each of these are really capable of and kind of their different use cases. One thing I do want to point out too is that some of these manufacturers are now making these things waterproof or at least water resistant. I know Bluetti, I don't have a Bluetti model here. Bluetti, if you're watching, I'd love to test one of your units, give it the full run-of-the-mill testing out here at my off-grid property. But they make some models that are pretty similar to this medium-sized Anker Solix C1000 that are actually waterproof. So you can run them outdoors in a light drizzle, whatever, with no questions asked, no problems. So if I had to vote on which one of these is best for RV camping, undoubtedly it's going to be something along the lines of this EcoFlow Delta Pro. The output power is perfect at about 3,000 to 4,000 watts, depending on which manufacturer and model you buy. They are still fairly mobile. They don't take up much room at all. You can buy expansion batteries if you want, and they can just run everything on your RV. For tent camping and car camping, clearly the Anker Solix C1000 is going to be the best. You can run anything you want, have your fancy margaritas if you're glamping in a tent, and then for just light duty around the campsite, I really love this Anker 521 or other units that are similarly sized. They're just great for topping off batteries for small appliances, running a fan. Their biggest advantage is their mobility. And lastly, if you are running an off-grid cabin or you just want way more power and capacity, the Jackery 5000 is, in my opinion, the best buy out of all the major brands in this category. But who knows, give it another year or two and some of these other manufacturers will come out with units that could top this thing. Keep your eye on the market. Prices change all the time and they're always coming out with new features too. So definitely shop around. Thanks for watching.